evening, and welcome back to Sportshire. I'm your host, Griff McClellan, and today I'm joined by Jeremy Linfield, Jackson Washburn, and Sean Lynn. In today's episode, we will examine the NBA Finals. First, we're going to discuss how both teams got there. First, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Where do you want to start? Let's talk about their first round series against the Indiana Pacers. LeBron James, it was difficult for him. They went to 7 games. He pretty much single-handedly carried the team. What would you say about that?
I just think it was an incredible series by LeBron James. The Pacers looked to make it competitive in Game 1, but LeBron was ultimately able to carry his team to victory.
Yeah, it seems like it's been that way all postseason. It's been all LeBron James and just other teammates on his side. And then they also faced Toronto, swept them. Then they played the Celtics, who put up an interesting fight against them. What would you say about that?
I mean, for the Boston series, I feel like it was kind of inevitable that LeBron would win. I mean, this is his 8th straight final.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
I think that Boston gave him a good shot, but in the end, LeBron obviously won. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great series. It was won by all home teams, but LeBron pulled it off in Game 7 like he's done many times before. But now they're in the finals. LeBron's 8th straight. What would you say? I mean, is he one of the greatest of all time? Definitely. Is he the greatest?
If we're going to that, I would say not the greatest of all time, not the actual GOAT. I think MJ deserved that title, but obviously I think he's doing well this season. The playoffs especially, he's gone off, especially for this new Cavs team, and I appreciate his effort for this team, especially in Game 7. So hope to see him go farther.
Yeah, and they've done really well in the past with Kyrie Irving as well. He was traded. It was all LeBron this season, but he still proved how he can be so dominant and lead a team by himself. Now, obviously, he trails in the finals, 2-0 to Golden State, but we'll see if he can pull off a comeback. I can't wait to see what happens there. I mean, find out.
Me neither.
All right, now let's go to the Western Conference champion, the Golden State Warriors. What would you say about them?
The Rockets were able to play the Warriors very well. They were very adaptive in switching, and they were able to cover all of Golden State's 4 All-Stars. They just ultimately fell short when Chris Paul got injured in Game 6.
Yeah, if Chris Paul had remained in the game, what do you guys think? Would they have won the series?
I personally think they would have. I mean, Houston definitely had a lot of momentum going into Game 7. They had played really well at home, shooting the ball, and I just think that there was too much of a load on James Harden in Game 7. I think that having another look to throw at the Warriors would have really put the Rockets over the top in that game.
Yeah, what would you say?
I'd say same as Jackson and Jeremy. This series was really, very competitive, and given that James Harden, Clint Capella, and Chris Paul both combined for 34 and 1 together, I found that pretty impressive. And knowing that Chris Paul fell short, that was pretty depressing for me to see. But overall, it's the finals, and Warriors, Cavs, 4 straight. So
this year, Golden State wasn't as dominant as they've been in the past. For the first time in the Steve Kerr coaching era, they didn't have home court advantage in a series. That didn't seem to slow them down at all, though. They still proved that they can be dominant on the road as much as they are at home. But Houston put up a great fight. If Chris Paul had remained healthy, who knows? Houston could have been in the finals right now. We would have been talking about them. They almost beat LeBron James and the Cavaliers shorthanded. Just think, if they had Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward in the lineup, think about what they can accomplish maybe next season.
Yeah. I mean, next season they're going to be incredible. They're getting 2 All-Stars back on top of their young core, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Terry Rozier. They're going to be very well coached, Brad Stevens, and they have a great system, and they're going to be a very good team next year.
Certainly, yes. They might be the team to beat in the East next year, depending on where LeBron plays.
Definitely.
We'll talk about that later. But meanwhile, let's talk about the NBA Finals now. Let's examine for a little bit how the series has gone down so far. 2-0 Golden State. Let's rewind and go back to Game 1. What would you take from the ending of that game?
Oh, wow. A lot happened.
Yes.
A lot of series of events.
The
First
final
of all,
5 minutes,
I
craziest,
think,
yeah.
personally, I think Cavs had it in the bag at the end of the game. Even though it was shot after shot, very intense final minutes. I think Warriors came out lucky just because of how Durant got that reversal call. Then we have Hill missing the second free throw. Then we have JR botching his opportunity for a shot.
JR doing JR Smith things.
I mean, I could talk about that all day,
Definitely.
but overall, I think that was the chance to not take the series, but take their momentum into the series and actually have really a back and forth game. But I mean, we'll see how this series goes.
It's definitely their chance to steal a road game. Golden State's been dominant at home all throughout the past 4 years. Cleveland hasn't been good at playing on the road against Golden State, but that was their chance. They could have taken game one. They would have had momentum right now, and they have the next 2 games at home. So what do you think? Can the Cavs carry momentum against Golden State?
I definitely think that if they would have won game one, that really would have solidified their momentum. I think that, LeBron put up 51 points, and that was the first time that ever happened in a finals loss. And I think that if they would have won game one, I think going back into Cleveland, if it was 1-1 or if they would have won game two, that they would have had a really good chance to win the series.
Yeah, I find that shocking. He scored 51 points. It's a finals career high for LeBron James. It's the 5th highest individual scoring game in finals history, and yet he still loses. It's also the highest scoring finals game ever in a loss by an individual player. LeBron's putting up a fight, but I don't know. It'll be hard for him to beat Golden State, who's stacked right now on offense, and it'll be tough for LeBron to beat him single-handedly.
Yeah.
All right, so who do you guys think is going to win the finals based on where it is right now?
Personally, I think Warriors game 4 gonna beat Cavs.
Sweep.
Sweep, correct. And I just think that given the game 1 performance, you said best performance in a loss. I just don't think, even though it's home Quicken Loans Arena, the key role players are gonna step up the game and really take down this Golden State Warriors team, who in the first game really I felt they were playing strangely and not playing to the best. So I'd say they can't compete at home.
We'll see what happens there. All right, how about you, Jackson?
I picked Warriors in 5, just to kind of echo what Sean was saying. I think that LeBron's supporting cast is just too inexperienced and untalented to keep them relevant in the series. I think that LeBron's greatness will probably get the Cavs 1 game, but ultimately this is probably his worst supporting cast that he's dragged to the finals since 2007, where he got swept by the Spurs. So I think that it'll be really tough for the Cavs to compete against arguably the best team of all time, the Golden State Warriors. So picked Warriors in 5.
Again, LeBron's also playing at a really high level right now. And though he's a veteran, he's in his 15th season now, he said it himself. He plays like fine wine. He gets better with age. What do you say? Who's going to win the series?
I think the Cavs will win the series in 7. I've learned never to doubt LeBron. He's very good when he faces adversity. The Cavs have performed a lot better at home than on the road. So I think they'll take these next 2 games at home, games 3 and 4, and then they'll be able to ultimately win it in 7.
Yes, this is the 4th straight year, as mentioned earlier, that the Cavaliers and Warriors have met in the finals. This is the most lopsided it's been, though. Golden State's heavily favored this year, though they haven't been as dominant, which is kind of strange a little bit. But that being said, I actually am picking the Cleveland Cavaliers. I agree with you, Jeremy. You should never doubt LeBron James.
Exactly.
2 years back, he was down 3-1 to Golden State, although this is a new team now, with Kevin Durant. I still think LeBron's going to pull it off single-handedly. He'll prove his dominance, perhaps as the GOAT. We'll find out what happens. I can't wait to see that. So how do this finals compare to your original season predictions?
Okay.
Did you have Cleveland Golden State again, or did you have other teams?
Obviously, I had the Cavs. I mean, I couldn't doubt LeBron James, but I was up in the air about Rockets and the Warriors just because of that trio I was talking about before. We have the handler Chris Paul, then we have Harden, the shooter, and we have Clint all over the board. So it's tough. It's tough given the Warriors 4 stars. So I ultimately thought they would have won the finals.
All right, how about you, Jackson?
For me, I thought in the Eastern Conference it was going to be up to the Celtics and the Cavs. I thought that once the Celtics acquired Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, that really put them over the top and solidified their chances. But I mean, this is LeBron's 8th straight final, so you kind of have to go through him to get anywhere in the East. As far as the West, I mean, I kind of always thought that it was going to be Golden State. Houston made their run, but ultimately, I just think that the Golden State's too dominant.
Yeah, they've been dominant, the most dominant team the past 4 years. You didn't see them slowing down at all?
No, I mean, I really didn't. They have two transcendent players in Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, whereas the Rockets have one, arguably two, in James Harden and Chris Paul. And I just think that overall their lineup is just a lot better. So I didn't see them slowing down, no.
Yeah, the NBA these days seems very predictable. It seems like Cleveland and Golden State are always favored. Who knows? They might meet in the next 4 or 5 NBA finals. Hopefully not, but we'll see. You never know. How about you? Does this compare to?
Yeah, I actually predicted the Cavs would be playing the Warriors. I didn't see the Celtics topping LeBron. I mean, ultimately their season was derailed by injuries, but I did think that LeBron would be able to carry his team to the finals. And then in the Western Conference, I predicted the Warriors. A team that I thought would have a chance at beating them would be the Spurs.
Yeah, never count them.
Yeah,
No.
but because they have a great coach, Coach Popovich. But ultimately, Kawhi wasn't able to play, and there's controversy surrounding that. So
Yeah, his season was very strange. It's kind of a
Yeah.
lost season for him. Who knows if he'll be in San Antonio next year. But if he'd remained healthy, especially in last year's Western Conference Finals, they would have put up a great fight against Golden State.
Yeah.
Am I right? I mean, Golden State swept them, but in Game 1, they were up by 25 points. They could have gone to 7 games at least. I think Golden State still would have taken the series, but it would have been a great series if Kawhi had been healthy. Yeah, they're really they're coached really well, like you said. They have other role players to step up, but they just weren't as dominant this year as they have been.
Yeah.
Another team from the West that I had high hopes for was Oklahoma City, my team. Unfortunately, we had some struggles. All the hype about Paul George and Carmelo Anthony in the offseason didn't really give us much. What would you say about them? Fail season?
I would say so. Series 1 against Utah Jazz, they were against rookie
Donovan Mitchell.
In my opinion, rookie of the year, who's averaged 20.5 points per game with Gobert and Rubio. I was pretty disappointed about that series because I had high hopes for OKC. But going into the future, if they could make some slight changes, I think OKC could last in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were favored to compete with Golden State this season and perhaps meet in the Western Conference Finals again, knock them off this time, go to the finals. None of that's going to happen this season, though. We never know. Things could change in the future, but Paul George and Russell Westbrook just never really clicked together. But how about some other teams to consider that might not be contenders right now, but certainly have bright futures ahead of them, like the Philadelphia 76ers or Utah Jazz, Milwaukee Bucks, teams like that with young superstars? Which of those teams strikes you as a contender?
I think the 76ers, in a couple of years, once they gain some experience, their young stars, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and especially if Ben Simmons can develop a jump shot, they're going to be tough to beat for years to come.
How about you?
Yeah, I also think that the Sixers can only get better from here. I mean, I think that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid will definitely develop into great, maybe Hall of Fame potential players, and I think that to go along with that, they also have Markelle Fultz returning next year. He was injury plagued, so you never really got to see what kind of player he was, and then also they have a top 10 draft pick, so I think that the Sixers are only going to progress.
Yeah, they went far into the postseason with only Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons without Fultz. Imagine if they had Fultz in the lineup, they could go even farther.
Yeah.
They were knocked out by the Celtics, though, who were shorthanded. Proved to be too much for them. I'm sure that makes you happy.
Yeah,
Celtics
yeah,
fan.
I was definitely happy with the outcome of that series. I mean, I was actually, going into the series, I thought that Philadelphia would win just because, I mean, everyone's been talking about how great of players Simmons and Embiid are, but Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum really proved to be worthy adversaries. So it was a good series win for the Celtics.
All right, speaking of rookies and young players like this, who do you guys think is going to win Rookie of the Year?
Based off of the regular season, I think it will be Ben Simmons. However, I think Jason Tatum performed best in these playoffs. He carried his team to Game 7 of the finals against LeBron James.
Yeah, it seems like all the hype is on Ben Simmons and
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell. Jason Tatum is, I think, the best
Yeah, he's
of all three of them, but he doesn't get as much recognition as the other two.
no, he's a very polished scorer, and he got overshadowed because his team was always thought of as injury plagued until they challenged the Cavs almost to a.
Well, yeah, and
trip
what's
to the
amazing is
finals.
2 years back, he was in high school. It's amazing how far he's come.
Yeah.
He's a superstar for the Celtics now and really stepped up.
Yeah.
How about Defensive Player of the Year?
I personally think it's going to be Rudy Gobert. He's a really imposing force on the inside, and he's probably one of the best shot blockers in the league. And I think that he was also on one of the best defensive teams in the Utah Jazz. So I think that he'll win the Defensive Player of the Year.
And your Rookie of the Year is?
Ben Simmons. I think that just the way that he's able to facilitate the ball and rebound and just kind of do everything is a little more impressive than what Mitchell was able to accomplish.
All right.
Oh,
you?
Rookie of the Year, I'd give hands down to Donovan Mitchell, just because the Western and Eastern Conference, the competition could be pretty interchangeable. The Western Conference, hands down, is way more competitive. He's been given the responsibility to basically lead his team. So I had to give hands down 20.5 points per game is impressive in the West, and given that responsibility, I had to give it to Donovan.
I agree with you, Sean. I would vote for Donovan Mitchell. He was so dominant in the first round of the playoffs. He has a bright future ahead of him. Not to count out Ben Simmons, but overall, Donovan Mitchell is a better three-point shooter as well. He can do more, it just seems like. So I'd vote for him. Defensive Player of the Year, we haven't mentioned Anthony Davis yet. He had a monster season, didn't he?
Yes, I'd say he was one of the contenders, and I can't say much because I don't really follow the Pelicans, but given his years so far in NBA, it's looking well for him, I think.
I would vote Anthony Davis Defensive Player of the Year too. He's been so dominant. He's improved on offense and defense, and he'll be the face of the NBA for years to come. All right, now let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Coach of the Year. Who do you think?
I think Brad Stevens deserves Coach of the Year. He brought a Celtics team to Game 7 of the finals when his top two players got injured.
I agree with you. Brad Stevens definitely deserves it. He's helped rebuild the Celtics organization, helped replace the old great days of Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo. They have a new winning culture. It's reestablished in Boston, and I would definitely hand it to Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I also think it's Brad Stevens. The way that he almost seamlessly incorporated Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, first and second year players, in the starting lineup was really impressive. And I also think if you look at his statistics after timeouts, they're really high. I think the best in the NBA. So it just kind of goes to show how the team listens to him and really executes. So I think that it has to be Brad Stevens as well.
I think to lead a team, Brad Stevens, Celtics team, to one of the best defensive rated teams in the playoffs is amazing. And plus the fact that Kyrie was injured with 24 plus points. And just to think about that I would give it to Brad Stevens as well.
All right, I agree. And lastly, MVP of the regular season. Want to start?
I personally think James Harden deserves MVP. He carried his team to the number 1 seed, although he did have some help with Chris Paul and amazing shooters. But the MVP does deserve to go to the best player on a 1 or 2 seed. You can never count out LeBron, and Russell Westbrook also averaged a triple-double this season.
For the second year in a row.
For the second year in a row.
Yeah, no player had done that since Oscar Robertson in
Yeah.
1962.
Yeah.
So what he's accomplishing is incredible. So
Yeah.
he deserves MVP, but this season you think James Harden meant the most to his team?
Yeah, I ultimately think it should go to James Harden.
All right, how about you, Sean?
I think it goes to LeBron James just because of how much changes happened to the team, how he had to work with different chemistries, and how he adapted that into the playoffs. And it's quite impressive, I had to say, just because he's leading the team throughout,
they
throughout
traded
the
away
year.
a lot of their team.
Yeah.
Almost half their team. They traded Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, Kyrie Irving, big names like that. LeBron's just kept fighting. He's grinded all the way. I think you're right. He definitely deserves MVP. But I personally would pick James Harden. I agree with you. Though I think LeBron, yeah, he deserves it every year. I'd say this season James Harden stepped up, led his team in the West. They fell short against Golden State, unfortunately, but they have high hopes for the future. I agree with you. James Harden should be MVP. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. James Harden averaged 30 points, 9 rebounds, or 9 assists, excuse me, and 5 rebounds throughout the regular season, and he was the best player on the winningest team, so I think it has to go to Harden.
All right, and back to you with LeBron James. Here's a bit of a timeout question here. Michael Jordan or LeBron James, who's the greatest of all time? And is it really fair to compare athletes from different generations as well?
I think it's fair. Well, personally, I haven't really watched him and witnessed him in all his glory, but I had to give it to MJ just because the GOAT, what it means to me, is the greatest of all time, right? So I think championships, and he's got championships. He has 6 championship rings compared to LeBron's 3. And out of 15 seasons, I think that's pretty great. And second reason, I was talking to my parents, and they watched him throughout, and they said that he never gave up. And just because of that mentality, you know, even though he doesn't have that build, that height, he just never gave up. And
Exactly.
LeBron, on the other hand, I think he might like whine a little more than
A lot of
Jordan,
players
but
seem to do that these days, don't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, how about you?
I personally think it's LeBron. I mean, I do agree with you that Jordan has LeBron beaten some of the accolades per se. I mean, he has 6 championships to LeBron's 3. But I think that if you're just posing the question of who the better basketball player is, I think that's LeBron. I mean, he virtually leads Jordan in every single total career stat, and I think that, in addition to his durability, for him to be averaging 35, 9, and 9 in the playoffs at year 15 is just remarkable. So I think it's a difficult question to ask just because there's so many facets that you have to consider, but I think it's LeBron.
All right.
I agree with Jackson. I think LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan, yes, he has 6 championships, but most of the teams that he played in the championships, his team was better than his opposition, and LeBron has usually had to not carry his team besides this year in his first
A
championship.
lot of times it's been single-handedly.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely had the inferior team to his opponent. And secondly, for all of the talk of how Michael Jordan is so clutch and how he would always perform under pressure, he was only 6-7 in his career in Game 7s in the playoffs, while LeBron is 14-9. So Michael Jordan is below 500. So it's not good.
That's not good. But yeah, you're right. Michael Jordan was clutch. LeBron is as well. But yeah, Michael Jordan he won more championships, but LeBron's played him more. And Michael Jordan also had Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman on his side. LeBron has had Kyrie Irving in the past. He's had Dwayne Wade in the past. This year and his first year as well, it's been mostly himself, though. So in terms of a better all-around career, I would say LeBron James. Because of just his stats show that he's carried his team most of the time. It's remarkable what he's accomplished. But Michael Jordan was clutch. He won more championships. So I could go either way, but they're both really great. Let's talk about LeBron again. Where is he going to play next season?
I personally think if he does leave Cleveland, he'll go to LA. I think that that's really appealing to him just as far as the location and how great of an organization the Lakers is with Magic Johnson as their GM. And I think that also there's been a lot of conversation to where he could team up with Paul George or DeMarcus Cousins, and I think that alongside with the young players that the Lakers have are really appealing to LeBron.
All right, he could team up with Lonzo Ball. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think they would really complement each other well with Lonzo being such a pass-first player.
Mm-hmm. They could be the next super team. They could definitely compete with Golden State, don't you think?
Potentially, yeah, I do.
All right.
I think he'll go to the 76ers. I think him and Joel Embiid, along with Ben Simmons, they'll just be absolute unstoppable in the Eastern Conference. However, if the Houston Rockets are able to move some money around, I think that he would go to the Rockets. That it would really suit his style heavy isolation ball, and then he would be able to kick it out to the shooters.
All right.
I really have mixed feelings about this, but I feel like it could go any way.
Mhm.
The Rockets, the Lakers, but I had to say he's gonna stick to the Eastern Conference. Actually, I changed my mind. I thought he was gonna initially. I thought he was gonna go to the Lakers, but I gotta say he's gonna stay the Cavs just because I feel he can't really diminish his legacy there, and I think he just started to ramp up his career there, and I think he's gonna stick to it.
Yeah, if LeBron leaves this time around, it'd be a lot different than when he left back in 2010. Back in 2010, when he announced that he'd signed with the Miami Heat, he became the instant NBA villain because he hadn't won a championship yet. He ditched his hometown team. Naturally, people burn his jersey. They immediately hate on him. Now, it'd be different, but he wouldn't be hated as much because he did promise to bring a championship home to Cleveland, and he did so 2 years ago. So if he went to LA and left Cleveland, or Houston or Philadelphia, wherever he chooses to go, he wouldn't be as hated. But I do agree with you, Sean. I think he should stay in Cleveland. I think he will. It would ruin his reputation if he leaves Cleveland. So I think he will stay in Cleveland. I think it's the smartest call for him. That's what I'd say, personally. All right, I can't wait to see how the finals go down. You guys excited for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely.
be a good series.
Looking forward to tonight. Go
Tonight,
Cavs.
Game 3.
Yeah.
Go Cavs, am I right?
Go Cavs.
All right, well, that concludes for today. Thank you for watching Sportshire. I can't wait to see how the NBA Finals play out. Go Cavs.